Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
This is what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. Hot or cold, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with the topic session for the Success Chronicles. Truly excited to have my good friend, Miss Lauren Ammon, on with us. And today we're going to talk the topic of courage. So first, what I'd like for us to do before we dive in it, if you don't mind just telling the audience about who you are and what it is you do, so they have a sense of your background and some of your neat experiences. And then we'll just dive in on courage.
Excellent. So thanks so much, Chip, for having me. So Lauren Ammon, I train athletes I help athletes train their minds like they train their bodies. Put simply, I was a former athlete myself. One of my biggest struggles was always figuring out how to get my mind in the game as much as my body was. After I was done swimming, that was my sport. I went into corporate America, found that just wasn't the place for me, transitioned and got my professional coaching certification. And just after the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, found myself finding my true calling of working with athletes after Simone Biles removed herself from competition. Katie Ledecky, while she won gold, didn't have a very inspiring swim, according to her. And that was the moment that Michael Phelps basically told the world, hey, even at this highest level, we have no one to support us on the mental side. Yeah. And in that moment, that's where everything came together.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Well, because of the person you are, you didn't really just dive deep into your accomplishments. But I will say that she's had some really neat accomplishments in her career. The best of the best in what she's done. And so I think it's really neat. And, we've had some conversations where, we talked about, success and the courage that it takes to achieve those things, to be at the top, to be at the best of the best for who you are, be at your best, the best version of yourself. And that takes courage. It takes courage. So what do you have on courage?
Yeah, this was something. My 3 C's formula is something that came to me actually just before our last conversation, Chip, and we were talking about success. And I had this kind of aha moment as I looked not only over my own experiences as a swimmer, a collegiate swimmer, and then working with other athletes, is that the idea of success, one, starts with courage. The courage to even put yourself out there, right? Thinking about an athlete, you're always putting yourself out there in terms of, whether you are an Olympic athlete, a high school athlete, or anywhere in between, it takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, hey, I'm going to perform in front of you all and see how I do. And that in and of itself is kind of, when you take a step back and you think about it, you're like, oh, that's my goodness. Yeah, exactly. But athletes, they're so passionate about what they do. It's like, that doesn't necessarily even come into play. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It never dawned on me that, oh my goodness, while in the moment, right? While as I was swimming, it never dawned on me, oh my goodness, there are all these people here. It was more like, oh my goodness, there are all these people here, right? To really think about what it is I could possibly be capable of. But there's also courage in showing up every single day for any of us, regardless of what we do, with absolutely no guarantee that we're going to reach what we think we're going to reach. And to me, that is so incredibly astounding, but it's so beautiful of the human spirit of, we know we want something and we're going to keep coming at it until we've reached it. And to me, that just takes an immense amount of courage to stand up and say, I want something new. I want something different. I want to grow. I want to change. And that's really the first element of any sort of growth, is the courage to say, I'm going to do it, or I want something different.
I love that. So good. On your points. And like you said, like, in the moment, like, like I don't even hear any of the people, like, I got the helmet on, like I'm in the zone. I don't hear, but then when it's over, you look like, wow.
Yeah, you're like,
Whoa.
oh my gosh, these thousands of people
Mm-hmm.
are here to see me, and to see me shine, and to see me do. And, as an athlete, we all hope that it turns out the way we wanted, or we perform the way we want. But like any human experience, that doesn't always go our way. And the courage, especially in football, right? To me, football is one of the most courageous sports. And here's why. 60 minutes. How many, the average play per football game was like 120 or something like that, right? 120 times you're getting up, or 60, right? I mean, depending on the side of the ball you're on, but right, 60 times you're getting up and you're going back and you're going over. And particularly in football, right? You never know what's coming at you, right? You're reading a play, you hope you can figure it out, but the play doesn't always necessarily go the way that you designed it in your mind, or the way that you thought it might go. And not only take the courage of taking the hit, or making the hit, whatever the case may be, but the courage to stand back up and do it all over again.
Yeah. I love that. That brings me to the points. Were there any other points that you had that you wanted to mention before I go?
No,
Okay.
that's all on courage.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that you got your points there. I think for me, when I look at courage, the first thing is, in having courage for anything, we have to just take one step, right? And then each moment that you have, just take the one step in that moment. And I interviewed a coach, really successful coach, Heather Macy, and she had MBAs where she shared with her players, what's the next best action? Like, don't worry about all the other, just take the next best action right now, right? And I think when you allow yourself to just take one step at a time, that sets you up for your future boldness or courage, if you will. And then the next phase of that is, when you do that, you gain momentum by your reps. And as an athlete, you truly understand this. Reps make you better, right? Like, I can't expect to be great at something if I haven't put the reps in to do that. And then that brings me to my third point that I wanted to share is, by putting in the work, you prove to yourself that you're capable, and that you can do it, right? And it gives you a momentum on, now you're in your lane. Now the game slows down, but it all started with you taking the first steps, getting the reps. By gaining that momentum, you show yourself that you're capable, and it develops that mental toughness, right? And so now the next obstacle that you come up on, like, oh, it's okay, I got it. Like, it's not I wonder. No, let's go. I'm up for the challenge. Like, I have the courage to do this. But it all started with just taking one step.
Right. And I love the MBA. I'm gonna have to
That's good stuff,
use that moving forward. And it reminds me of something that I was working on with my son. He started playing football last year, and had not the greatest experience, right? His coach didn't necessarily, he and his coach didn't bond. And so he didn't bond with the sport. And he switched schools and switched teams this year, and had a coach that was more in line with who and what he feeds off of, a much more nurturing coach, someone who kind of slows down and gets to know him as he is as an individual, which is wildly important. And he was struggling to find his confidence in the game. As you know, it's a fast-paced game. And even though he's in fifth grade, I mean, he still wants to get out there and get going. And I could tell, even on the field, even as a mother and as a former athlete, I can tell when he's spiraling. I can tell when his mind is just going and going and going and he can't stop it. And so I was just talking with him, kind of trying to understand like what's going on in your mind out there. Like, how can I support you off the field? So when you're on the field, mom's right there. And he's like, I get so scared. I don't know, like if I mess up on a play, I don't know how to get back to it. And it was kind of taking from the NBA, though that's much more eloquent of, I was talking to him of like, but how, once a play is over, it's over. You cannot go back.
Yep.
You cannot change it.
Yeah.
And just because the play didn't go the way you wanted it the first time, how do you give your best performance in this next play? Like, how do you just take this next play, not think about anything else, don't worry about what comes the play after that or whatever may happen? How do you just show up as your best self for this particular, 10 seconds maybe?
Yeah.
So that you can kind of remove the pressure of what was, right? You can't take it back. You can't undo it, and be right there. And it goes back to what you're saying, kind of the next best action, and just that one step, just the one. And he found that to be, he's like, Mom, I do ask myself, I don't do it every play, but I know when I'm starting to go down a spiral, I'll start asking myself that. And just to be able to create that awareness and instill that in him at fifth grade, I'm hoping that it supports him moving forward.
That's a great analogy, because just like you said the magic A word, it teaches him to have awareness. And you think about it, all of your experiences as an athlete, it made me reflect on my awareness too. All of that has truly helped me in my life. Right, to be aware, and I'll just say this, like, you've been around people that have been successful athletes, but then you see them in life and they're truly successful as well. And it because they're just doing the same thing they did in the pool or, in the gym or on the field. They just, it's transferable skills. You can use that in life as well. And so that awareness, like you talked about, like you have to be aware in life, in your relationships. Like you have to be aware at your job. Like you have to be aware in driving, come on, like pick something. You have to be aware. And if you're not aware of how you fit, then you don't maximize your experience or what you can get out of that with your courage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, I have to say, even though I was a swimmer and I could never play football, football is my favorite sport. I absolutely love it. But I think it's just such a great analogy for life.
Yes.
Like you don't have to have played the game in order to see, yes, it takes courage every time you step up to the line, right? Because you truly don't know what's going to happen.
And you got to be crazy. You mean like you about to bash heads? Like, you got to have some courage to put the equipment on.
Right. But talk about a game of awareness, right? So anybody who watched the Super Bowl, they talked all about Matt Stafford's no-look throw. Yeah. I forget, it was in maybe the second quarter or third quarter. I don't remember. I'm a Bengals fan, so I wasn't necessarily paying too much attention to what Matthew Stafford was doing. Right, I'm just kidding. But it was the no-look throw to Cooper Kupp, and he was, looking looking right and threw it left.
Yeah.
And the courage to do that, particularly with the defense that was on fire in that game, and being able to throw them off. But Cooper Kupp, knowing that his quarterback, back to the reps you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
No doubt they probably have run that multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. And for both of them to have the trust and awareness to know how that's going to play out, and for them to be able to connect in that way. I mean, again, it takes courage to trust not only yourself in those moments, but everyone else around you, that it's going to come the way it's supposed to.
Oh, that's what it's about. That courage. It boils down to that. Well, before we get off, if you don't mind sharing with the audience where they can follow you and check you out and show you some love.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always on LinkedIn, first and foremost. That's where the platform where I spend most of my time. I'm Lauren Ammon, ACC, if you're looking for me. And then again, laurenammon.com. Being able to, either sign up for my newsletter or sign up for my emails. And I love connecting with people, whether you're an athlete or not. As long as you have the courage to send that DM.
Let's go. I love it. Well, Lauren, thanks again so much for taking the time to talk courage, the topic session. And thank you guys for checking out this topic session. We'll see you next time. God bless. Go get it.